are. We're making chicken curry. We have all the ingredients here. We've got potatoes, onions, lemon, tomatoes, our spices, salt, paprika, cayenne, turmeric, cumin, coriander. There's the chicken and the olive oil. Alright, so here's the garlic cloves. They are all nicely chopped up, really nice and fine. We're going to dice the onions. Alright, so now we've got the potatoes. I'm just going to cut those up into nice chunks. They don't have to be perfect, but just chunks, bite size, so everything cooks. You want to make them uniform so that everything cooks the same amount of time. And we've got tomatoes, so we're just going to dice those up. There we go. We have the spices, so we are going to add 1 tablespoon of cumin, 1 tablespoon of coriander. This is going to make the curry paste, and it all gets put together, so it doesn't have to be separated. So there's the coriander, and we need turmeric. We need half a teaspoon of turmeric, 3/4 of a teaspoon of cayenne. Now, I don't really like it very spicy, so I'm going to add half a teaspoon. And then the paprika, 1.5 teaspoons of paprika. And we are almost out of paprika, so I'm just going to put the whole thing in there. Paprika makes it a really nice color. So there we have all the spices are in this little dish, and we're give it a little stir just to make it mix it together. And we need salt. We are going to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt. There we go. On medium-high heat, we're going to sear the chicken. And we let the oil get nice and warm, and then we'll put the chicken in. If you put the chicken in before the oil is hot, then the chicken absorbs a lot of the oil, and we don't want that. Okay, we'll swirl the oil around in the pan a bit just to cover the whole bottom. I used about 4 chicken breasts. Just cut them into bite-sized pieces. The chicken is pretty much all seared now. We're not thoroughly cooking it right now. You're just searing it, making it seared. Now add a little bit more oil, and then we're going to saute the onion. Stir them up, get them all nice and coated. You can see that the pan is starting to get brown, and that's what we want, so that it makes the onions all nice and caramelized. So that's what we're going to do now, is we're going to saute them, and then we're going to let them caramelize. And this is a very long process. That's about 35 to 50 minutes, depending on how hot you have it. You get the onions nice and caramelized, and that really makes a very nice taste. Saute the onions until they are slightly translucent. You have to keep stirring, otherwise they will burn on the bottom. I'm just using a good size pot we are going to have a lot of chicken and onions. We got the potatoes, and we want to make sure that there's enough room so we can stir everything. It has to be a very good heavy bottomed pan as well. So you can see that the onions are starting to change colors. That's showing that some of them are starting to become translucent. So you're sauteing for about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on your heat. You want to make sure you scrape up the bottom of the pan. Get all that nice color from the onions. I love the smell of onions cooking. I added a bit more oil just so they wouldn't burn. They're looking really good. So now what we're going to do is turn the temperature down to low. And we're going to put the lid on and then let them get nice and good and soft. Now we let that sit for about 40 minutes, stirring occasionally. Set the timer here. Alright, let's have a look at these caramelizing onions. Look at that. It looks good. Let's give it a little stir. Oh, they're looking great. Soft. Nice rich color. Now we're going to add the garlic and the ginger. Give that a stir. Oh, turn the temperature back up. We're going to saute the garlic and the ginger. The garlic and the ginger are nicely done now. Now we are going to add the tomato and the potatoes. Get everything all nice and combined. Oh, missed this potato cut up there. And we're going to let that simmer for a little while. While we're waiting for the tomatoes and the potatoes to cook up a little bit, we're going to juice our lemon. So I have a juicer here, and that collects the seeds so that we don't have to try and pick them out of the juice. And we've got a bowl, and all you do is you slice it in half and you squeeze it down on top, squish it all around, and that helps to get all the juice out of all the little cells. And there's some juice there. So the tomatoes are cooked down a little bit, and potatoes are starting to soften. What we're going to do next is add the spice mix. So we've got our cinnamon stick, and then we're just going to sprinkle all the spices all over. And this will thicken up a little bit because the powders will all absorb a lot of the liquid. Once that's all mixed together, then we add the chicken. And we're going to mix that all up so that the chicken is covered with all the spices. There we have it all stirred up, mixed up nicely, and the chicken is all coated in the nice seasonings. The next step is to add 1.5 cups of water. We pour that just off to the side so that we don't rinse off all of the spices off of all the meat and the vegetables. And then we're going to let that sit and cook for another 25 to 30 minutes until the potatoes are soft and the chicken is cooked. And let that simmer. Now's the time to get your rice ready. We like to eat basmati rice with our curry. We're going to rinse it in some water. You have to rinse it first, then you have to soak it. So just going to rinse it with some running water. Stir it up, make sure it all gets nice and rinsed. Basmati rice is sometimes called sticky rice. Alright, so now that's all nice and rinsed. Alright, so we strained it with this strainer. And now we're just going to let it soak. It's soaked for about 30 minutes. that's going to soak while the chicken is cooking. It doesn't take very long to cook the basmati rice. Basically about 15 minutes. You bring the water to a boil, you add the rice, and then you put the lid back on and you put it to low for about 15 minutes. And then you fluff it with a fork and there you go. Here it is. The chicken curry has been cooking for a long time. It's all nice and simmered down. The potatoes are nice and soft. It's good and juicy. So now we just need to pluck out the cinnamon stick, and then we will serve it up with some rice, which is over here. We cooked up the basmati rice, so that's all ready to go. And the last addition is the juice of 1 lemon, which we squeezed earlier. And then you just stir it in, and the lemon just gives it a really nice zesty taste. All right, so that's that. It's ready to go. Now we put out the basmati rice. And then scoop out all this yummy goodness right on top. There we go. And there we have it. Curry chicken. And we serve it with mango chutney.